Without a doubt, magic is what makes the fantasy genre so iconic. It's what differentiates it from anything else, whether it's the One Ring from Lord of the Rings, or whether it's the wands and the spells from Harry Potter. Today, we're going to be talking about the top 10 magic systems in fantasy books. I'm Stephen Ray, and this is Ray of Power.
Ray of Power for sci-fi and for fantasy.
Before we begin, let me set the parameters as to what I mean by the best magic system. Number one, it needs to be creative. I like unique magic systems. Now, it can be based on something basic like elemental magic, but does it have an interesting twist to it? Like a person can control fire, but the more he uses it, the hotter his temperature gets, and then he can die of heat exhaustion. That's an interesting twist instead of just controlling fire. So I like unique twists and premises. What are the costs? What are the limitations? Anything to make it unique. So creativity, also consistency. If a person can control water in chapter 1, does the author forget about it in chapter 12? Well, he has water in his blood. Can he control that? What about sweat? What about this? So is it consistent? Are they using it to the full extent? Also, cohesion. How does it fit into the world itself? How does it affect the economy? If someone can create food, how would that affect the economy? Would a lot of food industries go out of business? Would it solve world hunger? How would it affect the religion? Would people with magic start to be worshipped? Would they be ostracized like a witch, a pariah of some sort? How does it affect politics? Do people that have magic, are they highly esteemed and they get higher positions like president or Congress? Or are they, again, ostracized or seen less of a person, kind of like with X-Men, how they were like a second-rate citizens? Does it make interesting characters? Does it make for an interesting plot? How does it thicken the plot? How does it make it more intriguing? I'm also looking for if something is whimsical, if it just feels magical versus more science fiction type thing. Also, I want that X factor, something that maybe you can't put your finger on, but when you read it, everything lights up and you just enjoy the magic system. Starting off with number 10, we have Graceling. This is one that you might not have heard of before, but I really like it. It's not the most elaborate magic or the most bombastic, destroying worlds type stuff, but it's where unique individuals are born with 2 different colored eyes. And what that means is they have a super skill in one category. That could be something as simple as being the most amazing cook on the planet, or something more interesting like survival, where you can survive in any terrain and you can become an amazing fighter because that helps you survive, and you have an instinct because it helps you survive. So all these different types are very fascinating, and this book, there's a few in the series, but very, very, very unique, and I really like it. So Graceling is number 10. Number 9 is the Farseer series, and Robin Hobb does an amazing job with this. You have the Fool. There's like a short albino type people that have certain skills, kind of like foresight in a unique way. You also have one where a person can bond with an animal, and that's very fascinating because they can develop very, very close relationship and even speak to it telepathically, but it's more like they get the instincts of it. But if they bond, they can kind of be overrun by their instincts and kind of become like an animal if you're not careful. There's a few other types as well, but the whole series and all the other series based off of it is just done beautifully. It's beautifully written. I absolutely love this. It ties in great with the politics, with religion, with the world itself. Done very well. I wish she would have explored the magic more. Like there's one part where it said that, and he was going to learn this magic, and then the man taught him the skill. And then it was like the next chapter, and I'm like, show me that. How did he use the magic? That's the stuff I like to know, and I rank it a bit lower just because Robin Hobb chose not to explore the magic or get into the nitty-gritty stuff, which is fine. She focused more on the plot and the story, which is all good. But I wanted a bit more of the details, give me the deets, as it were. So anyways, but I love Robin Hobb and the Farseer, the Fitz chivalry, all that. Great magic, great characters, love it. Number 8 is The Land, or Chaos Seeds by Alaron Kong. This one is very unique. First off, it's a lit RPG book. I would be remiss if I didn't put at least one of the lit RPGs on there, and I chose this series. It has the gamer logic, like, stamina, stats, and all that stuff, but there's a few things that I think make it a bit more unique than maybe some of the other ones. For one, the author does a great job of showing magical items in a unique way. Like, you have what's called a magic core, and it's like a magical stone. But if you combine it with like an anvil, and I think one other thing, then you can create a magic forge. And this huge, ginormous forge just appears and is virtually indestructible. And that forge has special abilities. And I think the one that he made, it linked to the stars. And so if the stars align a certain way, when a person's making armor or something, then the light can shine on it, and it has special abilities based on the alignment of the stars. You can use the magic core and combine it with other things to make other magical buildings as well. But that one was really unique. He also had a quickening. It was this giant tree that appeared, and it was interesting how it formed. Then it bonded with a pixie. Then when the pixie bonded with it, she bred like 100 pixie children, but they were celestial children because the tree was celestial, and that was based off of certain elements. And all of it was very fascinating, but it also gave the sense of wonder and beauty. And it was just beautifully written, but it was also a really fun series, and the logic made perfect sense because it's, gamer logic. So there was a lot of that, but I feel like this was done very well. There was also chaos magic, which I just loved in the later books. It's where he ushered in this new age, and so he's a chaos seed. He's a person, but he has chaos inside of him. And so whenever he levels up, he also gets chaos points, and he can use the points to access the Sea of Chaos. And this portal kind of opens up, and he can summon magical items from it. And then you have chaos magic, like one he can cast on these creatures, and he can evolve them into a higher form of it. And so just a lot of interesting stuff. And then he evolves through being a chaos lord. And so just very unique. So The Land, a lot of lit RPG books are really fun, but this is by far my favorite series. A lot of fun. I'm waiting on the next one. Like book 9 is supposed to come out eventually, and he's taking his precious time, but I still love the series and the magic. Number 7 is the Dresden Files. Oh, do I love this series by Jim Butcher. It's just fantastic. And it's so much fun. So it follows a wizard named Harry. You're a wizard, Harry.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Probably, a nod to Harry Potter. But it's so much fun. So it's a modern world, right? It's in America. I'm pretty sure it's in Chicago, which I like because I live in the Chicagoland area. A lot of his references, I'm like, oh, I know where that is. I know where that place is. So it's really fun there. But I think he's in Chicago or just outside of it. And so he's a wizard. And all the magic makes sense, though, but he has a bit of everything. So he's got werewolves in a few of his books. He's got vampires. He's got the Fae. And the Fae realm is done very well. It's very hard to do. Some books do it better than others, but he does it very well on that one. But there are all these different types of creatures. They're also like angels and angelic power and demonic type power and stuff too. So a bit of everything. But oh my goodness, is it done so well. And he does potions. The earlier books, I actually like the magic a bit more. He's more into potions. But he's a type of wizard, kind of like a Boy Scout. He's always prepared, and he has to prepare ahead of time. So, and it's really fun. Like, he makes one potion, and the logic makes a lot of sense. Like, he has to put a little bit of coffee in it to, he wanted this potion for like a lot of strength and power, but coffee, it has to make sense in your brain. So if you think of caffeine as strength and energy, then your mental energy is actually affecting it more than the actual coffee. But puts coffee in a few other things, and it's like this extra boost of power. And so he finally drinks it, and he's all powerful for a bit. Then he has a crash, just like coffee. So funny things like that. I think one, he made a love potion, and then later on he made an actual, like a good potion to help him with power. So in the middle of a fight, it's a lot like Die Hard. Harry Potter, Harry Dresden is always fighting for his life. He barely survives each book, battered and torn. But I remember in one, he was in the middle of a fight, and he asked this lady, this news anchor, I think, he's like, drink that potion, it'll make you invisible or something. So she drinks it, and then he realizes, oh no, that was the love potion. So in the middle of a fight, this girl's trying to like kiss him, and he's like, no, no, no. And it's very funny, and it's very action packed, but the magic itself is done very well. It makes a lot of sense. It gets a lot of the spooky vibes, like the werewolves and the vampires and stuff. But again, done very well. It's one of the few vampire werewolf type books that doesn't focus too much on romance. It's just straight up action adventure. There's some romance, but it's a subplot, if you will. But again, I love this magic system in these books. It's a huge series, and I think I'm on book 17 right now or something. But I love this series. Number 6 is Name of the Wind. Now, I know I'm not ranking the prose right now, but the writing style is just fantastic. But the magic, oh my goodness, it's so good. So there's a few different types of magic systems. One is very solid, very concrete, much more like a science. I believe it's called sympathy. And you have sympathy lamps and things like that. So basically, the way it works, it's like in your mind, you have to make sense that two things are connected, much like two pieces of metal. And if you imagine that they used to be connected, you can make a sympathetic link, like in your mind. And when that happens, you kind of like link them in your brain. You say a sympathetic binding, a type of phrase or something. Then you lift one piece of metal and the other piece rises because now they're connected. You also have types with like blood, to where you can affect the other person with their blood. You can make kind of like a voodoo doll type thing, to where if you link it to that person, you can stab them and they'll get stabbed and all that. So there's like darker parts to it, but that's a more concrete magic system. Then you have naming. This one is really cool, where basically you have your subconscious mind and or your sleeping mind, as it were, and basically it'll wake up sometimes and you can see things for what they really are, and you can see the true name of something. And so if you found the name of stone, you can tell the stone to break and it will break. You can tell the stone to do something else and it'll do something else. And so at the beginning of the story, Quoth, very weird spelling, but Quoth, he finds a man that knows the name of the wind, and he speaks it, and he can calm a storm or make it bluster. And so he's trying to find the name of the wind throughout the book. And it's very, very beautiful. I don't care for the romance in the book. Okay, some of you may love it, some of you hate it. I don't care for it. But the magic system is just beautiful and awesome. He does go into the Fae as well. That's very interesting. A lot of magic systems there. So a few different types of magic systems that are very well done. There's a lot of lore to it, and it does affect politics and all that type of stuff, religion. So it's very, very great for what Patrick Rothfuss has written, and I read parts of it a lot. I skip a few parts. Again, I don't like the romance part. I just don't like it. But the story itself, the lore, absolutely top notch. Number 5 is the Cradle series. It's probably my favorite series of all time, but I only rank it number 5 as far as magic, but still, I would be remiss if I didn't put it on there. Where do I start with this? It's kind of like gamer logic, as far as like you can level up, you can get better and better, but it's done differently. So you start out as copper. Actually, this guy's unsold. He's not even copper. He's the lowest of the lowest. But basically, you have Madra inside of you. It's a type of magic. And then you can grow that Madra. You have a magic core inside of you. And if it gets strong enough, you become copper. You don't turn into copper. It's just what they call it. But you basically level up and you get quite a bit stronger and faster. Then you can advance to iron, and you get even stronger, more powerful. You can also control aura in the air. Some people have fire aura, where they can gather it and actually shoot out flames. Very cool. But it gets more and more complex, to where you can have different types of aura together to make Madra. So with Lyndon, he has destruction aura and fire aura to make black flame. It's a black with a little bit of red flame in it, but it's mostly black flame, and it just disintegrates things. And I love it because there are always limitations. Like, it takes quite a bit more time to gather the fire before he can release it. So if somebody kills him before he can gather up enough fire, he'll die. Also, the higher up you get, the more advanced you get, you have to take more drastic measures. Like, to get to Underlord, you have to discover why you're advancing in the first place. Like, why do I want to get more powerful? And you have to discover that revelation, and then you can advance. Then I think the next one is Overlord, and you have to discover something else about yourself. So it gets more complex. Then to become a herald, you have to fight your own remnant. So you have a remnant, kind of like a soul, but it's more like a monster type soul. And if you die, the remnant comes out of you. So let's say that you fight someone in battle and you kill a person. Now their remnant comes out of their body. Now you have to fight the remnant, and it's just as vicious as the real person. And that's very interesting. But when you become a herald, you have to get your remnant out of you and then fight it, and then pull the power into yourself, and then you advance. Or to become a sage, you have to touch an icon, where you have to find out who you are at your very core. And I think one person's icon was, I don't want to give away spoilers, but I think one icon was like the strength or the fighting icon. It'll manifest as like a giant fist above him, and that's the strength icon. And he can pull on that icon to make him stronger. So there's so much to this. And then you have Monarch, which is like a combination of Herald and Sage together. But oh my goodness, it's so well done. So many different types of aura and Madra. You have Blood Madra. You have this one and that one. Oh, it's so cool. You have Mind Spirits that can enhance your mind. And oh my goodness, I could go on and about this series. The first book, it's a little slower. You know, he's the bottom of the barrel. The second one gets pretty good. The third one and on, I was hooked. Okay, so if you're going to get into this, that's just your explanation. The books are pretty short though, but well worth reading. Highly recommend the Cradle series. Number 4 is Eragon. Now, I know some people are going to say, well, it's a copy of Star Wars and Pern and things like that. I get it, but I love the series. I just absolutely love it. It was actually my first book ever that I read that got me into fantasy, so I have to give it pretty high praise. Christopher Paolini does a great job with this. Again, quite a bit of it is like Star Wars, but basically think of it like, what if Star Wars had dragons? Okay, that's really what Eragon is. So very well done, though. I love it. But I love this one because it's easy to understand. Straightforward. First, you have to know the ancient language. This other language, but if you know one word, like the word for stones, kind of like naming with Patrick Rothfuss, but if you know the ancient word for stone, then you can control it. You can do things with it. But it is limited by your own strength. So if you said the ancient word for mountain and you tried to lift up a mountain, you'd be crushed. You would just die because you could not physically lift a mountain. So that's the limitation, but you can store up energy in rings and other, items, and then you can summon that power to enhance it a bit. But there's a lot of cool magic that you have with it, but it's limited. So it's a good limitation, both your knowledge, how much you know the ancient language, and your creativity. How can you make sense of it in your mind to turn earth into water? It's very hard to make a mental link. Again, kind of like Name of the Wind. But anyways, it's very easy to understand when you read it. I'm probably not doing it justice. But Eragon, very fun series, action-packed, absolutely love it. Number 3 is the Stormlight Archives. Now, some people are going to say, why isn't it number 1? Here's a few reasons. Number 1, it is very complex, and the more into it you get, all right, this is this surge, and this is this, and what is a Skybreaker versus a Windrunner, and what? So the more into it I got, I started to get a little lost. Like, okay, wait, which one was this again? Which one was that again? So I think it's a bit too complex to the point where I started to lose sight of what was what. But Oh my goodness, is it awesome? One of my favorite parts of it is the fact that you have to make an oath. So you have to say the first oath, which is, life before death, strength before weakness, journey before destination. And that starts your bond with a spren, a type of a spirit creature, if you will. And then you make a bond with them. But then you have to make more oaths to get more powerful. But you have to, number one, actually believe the oath. Like, I will defend those who cannot defend themselves, or protect those who cannot protect themselves. And when you make that oath, you have to actually believe it. But if you ever break your oath, it can break the bond with your spren. Then you can lose your magic altogether. So that's a very interesting, it's very creative. Also, you can be a wind runner where you can change the direction of gravity. So you can make yourself fall up in the air instead of down. You can make yourself fall sideways. So it looks like you're flying, but you're actually changing gravity. Brandon Sanderson has a knack, and I think he's pretty addicted to not having people actually fly. It's like that's almost like that's on his no. He's not flying. He's falling sideways. I'm like, but he's flying. Okay, Brandon, give it a break. It's flying. But even with a Mistborn, which we'll talk about too. But with Mistborn, no, you're pulling yourself this way or pushing. You're not actually flying. I'm like, but you're flying. All right. But Stormlight Archive, incredible. There's light weavers, which is a type of illusion magic, but again, done very creatively. But Stormlight Archives, well worth it. Books 1 through 5 are out right now with other novellas. Highly recommend it by Brandon Sanderson. As I just mentioned a moment ago, number 2 is Mistborn. Once again, by Brando Sander the Mando. Mistborn was my second series I got into after Eragon. I finished the Eragon series, and I didn't know anything about fantasy, so I was like, what else is there? Is there anything else good? I tried one or two that was more romantic-y. It wasn't really my cup of tea. And I was like, man, is there any other action-y type magic books? I didn't even know it was called fantasy. I just knew I liked magic. I wanted books with magic. And then someone recommended Brandon Sanderson to me, and it forever changed my life. So Mistborn, The Final Empire, the way it works is you have something called allomancy. Now, there are other types like ferrochemy too, but allomancy, you have to swallow metal, which normally is not recommended. So if you swallow pewter, for instance, it can make you very strong and very durable for a short amount of time. But you can do incredible stuff during that time. And if you swallow tin and you can burn it and it burns up inside you, and tin will enhance your senses. So your sense of sight, you can see through the mist, you can see very far away, hear very far, smell very far. And so that's very interesting. You can be a good spy that way. You also have others like steel and iron pushing and pulling that you can basically control metal. You can push it, pull it toward you. He does good limitations. Like you can't just control it anywhere. It has to be toward you or straight away from you. So you have to be creative with how you do it. But oh my goodness, is it done so well. You have quite a few other types of metals that you eventually learn. And atium is really cool, where you can swallow it, and when you burn it, you can see the other person's intention and the other person's future, basically. So if a person is about to slice you this way, you can see this ghostly image of it coming at you, and you can dodge it. So you can basically see the future for them. And that's a very fun metal to burn. So all these different metals, and it makes you constantly think as you read it, oh, what would I do if I did this metal? Oh, I would want to be a tin burner. I would want to be a pewter burner. And so it's very fun. You also have ferrochemy, where you can store up your own strength in like a ring or bracelet, and then you can tap into it later. So while you're storing up strength, you're weaker for that time, but you're basically saving it for a rainy day. But you can become really strong if you store up a bunch of it and like burn it all at once. So a lot of cool stuff. You can store up speed and make you a lot faster for a short time. So a lot of cool stuff in here. Highly recommend Mistborn. And number 1 is the Lightbringer series. It's not my favorite series, but oh my goodness, is the magic incredible. It's so intricate, but you understand it, and it ties in seamlessly with the economy, with the religion, with everything, the politics especially. It's kind of a dark and gritty one, kind of like if Brandon Sanderson and Joe Abercrombie got together. It's kind of how it would be. Dark and gritty, but does have very intricate magic system. Basically, people can draft Luxen. Drafting, you can pull color. So you can draft blue Luxen, but you have to see blue in order to draft blue Luxen. And you can draft red Luxen or yellow. And you also have different shades of it. So if you draft a very specific shade of yellow, it is indestructible. It's like more durable than diamond. But you have to be able to see that exact shade and draft it perfectly. You can make a lot of items with this type of Luxen. You can create weapons with the Luxen. You can push Luxen out of your feet and like give you a boost forward. So a lot of really cool stuff with that. But my favorite part is that if you draft too much of it for too long, your irises basically shatter. And when that happens, you can still see, but you go insane for the most part. And they start to get like power hungry and just kind of go on this rampage. And then the prison has to go and hunt them down and put them down. And the prison can draft every color. Most people can only draft one. Some people are like a duochrome, I think, or a polychrome would be multiple colors. But it's very intricate. It makes sense. The prism is the one that most of the story is about. And you have a few other characters too, like Kip and others. Incredible. I loved it. It was a fun adventure. It just finished, I want to say 5 or 6 years ago. I think the last book came out. Characters are interesting, in-depth. The politics is incredible. But I would say this is the most seamless as far as the magic. It ties into the religion, the politics, like I said, all that stuff. Again, it's not my favorite series, but it's my favorite magic system. It's just it's the epitome of what a magic system should be, in my opinion. Incredible. A few honorable mentions would be things like Chronicles of Narnia. The magic system's pretty interesting, very allegorical. You have Lord of the Rings. The One Ring is an incredible magic. Not as intricate, like I didn't know what Gandalf could do. Like the magic was a bit more ambiguous. For that, I put it lower, but I still love it. Many others as well that I like. You have a Harry Potter. I think some of the magic was very interesting. The Patronus was very interesting. Fighting off the Dementors, that was very unique. So a lot of cool things there. There are many others that I could say as well. But these are my top 10. I hope you read the books if you haven't read them already. But if you want more of this content, stay tuned. This is Ray of Power, and I'll see you next time.
Ray of Power for sci-fi and for fantasy.